Wait, are the microphones on? Oh, they are on. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Open Table Sports Podcast. I'm Matt. This is Dom. We haven't been here in a little bit, so we have a lot to go over today. Actually, not really. It's just the NFL draft. Really, nothing has happened. We haven't been tweeting as much because not a lot has been happening. But yeah, we're going to get right into the NFL draft breakdown. First, we're just going to give our initial thoughts of the first round as a whole. Some interesting picks happened. Some interesting picks didn't happen. Definitely, a lot of questionable moves from certain teams. Some people fell that, you didn't think would fall. But definitely, Kyler Murray at 1, that was, destined to happen the past couple months. Nick Bosa at 2, Quinn Williams at 3, Farrell at 4. That was probably the most questionable pick, I guess, in the entire draft was Farrell at 4. Mm-hmm. I guess one of the most questionable picks, but predictable at the same time, I guess you could say, is Daniel Jones at 6. It was projected in some, but it's still questionable at the same time because I don't know. It's just very interesting that they picked him at 6 when they had a good, I would say 90% chance he would be there at 17. And even if he wasn't, they still would have Drew Lock there at 17, which a lot of people had over Daniel Jones as the better quarterback. And there are actually some analysts that do say that Drew Lock could end up being the best quarterback in this draft. But definitely some questionable picks by the Raiders, by the Giants. They're really the only ones that kind of slipped up with what they had on their lap. I guess the best you could say was the Redskins getting their man in Dwayne Haskins without trading up and also trading in to get Montez Sweat with, I think, the 27th pick?
Yeah, 27.
Or was it the 27th?
Or no, 26. I believe the Colts had 26, and they traded up.
Yeah, whatever it was. They traded up, and they got Montez Sweat, who in a lot of mock drafts was touching the top 10.
Yeah.
He was touching the Giants at 6. There were a lot of players that fell. Look at Juwan Taylor, but he's been slapped with knee, back, and weight issues. So he'll probably likely fall still. But we'll see what happened there. What are your thoughts on the draft overall?
It was definitely a fun time last night. Just all the unexpected picks, especially once the Raiders picked Farrell. It just opened up the whole draft, and then you think, oh, maybe the Giants will pick Josh Allen, and they didn't. So then that's a team I'm looking at is the Jaguars. They got Josh Allen.
That's got to be the steal of the first round. I would say also the Chargers getting Jerry Tillery. He was graded, even if you look at his stats, he had better stats than Quinn Williams.
Yeah,
and he had better stats than a lot of them, and PFF had him as the second best interior defensive lineman, and I think top 5 overall defensive lineman coming into this draft. So I think that's a steal for the Chargers at 28, which is a need as well. Bills getting Ed Oliver, that's another steal. Steelers trading up, getting Devin Bush, which was rumored weeks ago, them trading up to get him. Jonah Williams at 11, I still think that's a steal. I think Rashawn Gary, I think that's a big gamble at 12. I think that's way too high for him. Christian Wilkins at 13 of the Dolphins. I love that pick.
Yeah.
Chris Lindstrom, 14 of the Falcons.
See, I think the Falcons are one of the ones that also messed up the first round.
I think at 14, Lindstrom is a little bit high for him, but I think it's a good fit.
Also, what they did in the back half of the first round,
getting McGarry.
And getting McGarry, which is another offensive lineman. And
I would take Risner over McGarry.
And I mean, the biggest problem for the Falcons last year was the defense.
Yeah.
And they didn't even touch the defense in the first round. So I think it's a big mistake by the Falcons. I think I would have understood if they would have traded up into the first round again and picked a defensive player that could have helped them. But to draft another offensive lineman when you already drafted one isn't really the smartest decision.
Yeah. The Mariners are calling up left-handed pitcher Justice Sheffield, their number 1 prospect who was acquired from the Yankees in the James Paxton trade. I don't think it's entirely stupid because, yeah, Matt Ryan's getting older, and that offense is amazing. Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, Devontae Freeman, Austin Hooper. And now you have a great offensive line in front of him. But, yeah, that defense is going to be tough because when they face a team like the Saints, that's going to be tough.
I mean, most of their losses last year were in shootouts. So the defense has got to hold up for something. I mean, I know they've been re-signing some of their older guys, but they need some youth on that defense, and that's what they're lacking right now.
Yeah, I'm going to crack my neck. The Redskins, this is probably one of the best picks in the draft still. Dwayne Haskins, they didn't even have to trade up for him. They were thinking about trading him up to 3 to get him, and they got him at 15.
I think that was another surprise, too, was the Jets not trading.
Yeah.
I mean, they really wanted to trade out of it, but they just didn't, and they got Quentin Williams, which will help them. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how Haskins does. Like, I'm not – Haskins is good. I'm not going to say he isn't. But the one thing is he only played 1 year. That's another thing with Kyler Murray. He only played 1 year.
But the thing was that they were good in that 1 year. You know what I mean? Like, it showed that even when they sat and started 1 year, it still shows.
It's just interesting. We'll see if they can get that sustained, success. We know Murray will probably be starting week 1, but Haskins, on the other hand, they might go with Case Keenum at the beginning.
They have a lot of quarterbacks. They have Case Keenum, Colt McCoy, and then what, Josh Johnson?
They have, Case Keenum, Colt McCoy, Josh Johnson.
And Alex Smith, but we know he's not going to play.
One of them's going to not make the team because they can't have 4 quarterbacks. So I think you look at Johnson and McCoy.
But don't they have never mind.
Because Alex Smith probably isn't going to play this year.
Yeah, he's not going to play.
So you got McCoy and Johnson. One of them's going to have to be gone.
Yeah. I know, it's definitely going to be – it's a good problem. It's a good problem having a lot of quarterbacks. Panthers getting Brian Burns, defensive end at 16. It's a good pick. Mm-hmm. Giants getting Dexter Lawrence at 17.
I think they might be going down the Philadelphia Eagles route, trying to get that rotation going so they'll have the depth at D-line.
You're still going to need a pass rusher, though. The only one you have is Marcus Golden, and he didn't even play last year. Yeah. And he's only had 1 good year, and he led that year in sacks. Other than that, he really hasn't had that great of a spotlight, I guess you could say. But stopping the run wasn't a problem for them last year. It was, the pass rush that was really bad. They have B.J. Hill and Dalvin Tomlinson behind him.
And people are comparing Lawrence to Snacks Harrison.
Yeah.
So he could be a top D tackle in the league. It'll provide depth at the D tackle position, which they really needed because after Hill and Tomlinson, you really didn't have anything behind them. So they'll have a good fresh rotation throughout all the downs for D tackle. I agree they do need a pass rusher now.
Pass rushers, defensive end was more of a need than D tackle because you already had Hill and Tomlinson. You just needed a depth pick. But
if we look at Gettleman's draft history, he's not too focused on needs. He's more of, I want this guy. I like this guy. I'm going to take him. And that's what we saw with Jones. That's what we're seeing with Dexter Lawrence. They really wanted the guy. And, Dexter Lawrence, that's another guy that got drafted ahead.
You read that tweet. Even Jordan Renan said this. And then 18, Garrett Bradbury, center. He went to the Vikings. Another good pick for them. They needed a center after John Sullivan went away. At 19, Jeffrey Simmons, defensive tackle from Mississippi State, went to the Titans. He's probably not going to play. He's not going to play this year, most likely. He has a possibility of playing, but it's a great pick. He was supposed to be the second best defensive lineman in this entire – second or third best defensive lineman in this entire draft. Supposed to go top 5, maybe top 10. So I love that pick.
So, not an immediate impact, but after this year, I mean, he's going to have
It's not like the Titans are winning that division anyway.
It's going to be a long-term game or gain in this pick.
Yeah. Broncos, Noah Fant, tight end from Iowa. Iowa coming in with the 2 tight ends, Noah Fant, TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson went at 8 to the Lions. Definitely an interesting pick for them.
It'll help Matt Stafford.
They needed a tight
end.
Yeah, I don't know why they graded that a B-.
Yeah, no, I think it's a little too low.
He's going to be a top. He could easily.
People are comparing him to George Kittle, and George Kittle's like a top tight end in the
league.
league.
Gronkowski.
Yeah, so
both of them. And he could end up being a top 5 tight end in the
Yeah.
league. So I just don't understand
I
that.
think the Bills had a good pick too with Ed Oliver at 9 for him to slip to 9.
Yeah, because he was rumored to go to the Jets, Raiders, Buccaneers, maybe even the Giants too. He fell right on their laps. So then the Packers, this is a questionable move. Darnell Savage, safety from Maryland, and they traded up to get him. I just think that's idiotic as anything.
Yeah, no, with the Packers, I feel like they made some questionable decisions. They jumped on Rashawn Gary at 12, which was kind of early for him. And then Darnell Savage at 21, that was definitely pretty early for him also.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. They need safety, but not Darnell Savage. He wasn't even in the top 5 for this. His draft stock has been going up the past couple of weeks, but I don't know. Definitely a questionable pick. Great pick here. Eagles traded up to get Andre Dillard, offensive tackle from Washington State. I love him. He's probably the best pass blocking tackle in this draft. Even right here, it says you could plug him in there and be a 10-year starter and make some all-pro teams.
Yeah, and this really screwed the Texans because the Texans wanted him. I mean, they had him eyed up, and they were ready to take him until the Eagles traded up from 25, I believe, with the Ravens and took him. So that really threw them off, and it really hurt the Texans.
I just don't know. I don't know how the Giants passed on Andre Dillard at 17. Like, they picked a D tackle over probably the second best offensive tackle in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just an interesting pick there. I love the pick for the Eagles because Jason Peters, 37-year-old, is going to be on his way.
Yeah.
But definitely great pick. Texans, they picked Titus Howard, offensive tackle from Alabama State.
I'm surprised they didn't take Jawan Taylor, even with everything that's coming out with Jawan Taylor.
I don't know. Titus Howard, he's a sleeper. If you go watch his film,
I mean, it's a good move.
But even him over Greg Little is interesting as well.
I mean, he is a good player. Like, I'm not going to deny that. But it's just, I feel like maybe Taylor or Greg Little could have been better picks.
Yeah, Titus Howard's a big boy, too. He's massive.
Yeah.
Which is also good. But I think Titus Howard's going to be a sleeper. I think he's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Raiders picking Josh Jacobs, running back from Alabama at 24.
No one's surprised by that pick. That was in
every single mock draft.
It's a good pick for the Raiders. Now they have a top running back, especially after Lynch retired. I think it's a solid pick. I think it's going to help them in the long run. Now you got Jacobs, and then you got Antonio Brown.
The Cardinals and Dolphins are expected to get a trade done today for Josh Rosen.
Yeah, that's basically the only team left because the Giants obviously aren't going to get him now with Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I've figured, it was all but certain that the Dolphins were going to get him.
It depends on when you're listening to this, because if you're listening to it via audio, we are live on YouTube, on the Open Table Sports YouTube. So we talk like in the moment here because we are live at the same time. So we do have to, talk as if, we're talking in present tense, which we are. We do talk in past tense as well, but just depends on what we're saying. Yeah, but make sure if you want this stuff earlier, just go live on YouTube. It does upload as a regular video after we go live, so it's definitely a good perk. But yeah, Ravens, they pick Marquise Brown, wide receiver from Oklahoma at 25. I love this pick. Little bit on the smaller side at 170 pounds. He is Antonio Brown's cousin, but at 170 pounds, I'm a little bit,
And he's coming off injury problems. So that's another thing. If he could stay healthy, I think he's going to be good for Lamar Jackson because he's going to be more of that kind of –
He'll get 2 catches a game with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. He can get like that. He can run the quick, slant. He can run the quick drag route and, get some space on those quick throws.
Yeah, he is explosive, but it's just his size. And everyone knows that the NFL is very hard-hitting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like college. Bigger, faster, quicker paced game, so it's definitely going to be more interesting. Redskins picking Montez Sweat, defensive end from Mississippi State at 26. I like this pick, trading in to get him.
Mm-hmm. And he dropped too.
He dropped a lot, yeah. He was supposed to be in like the top 15 around that area. Getting him at 26 is great. Redskins definitely had probably the best draft of anyone.
Yeah, if maybe them, the Jags, the Chargers were kind of the top teams in this first round. The Eagles, they got the guys they needed, and that are going to probably be instant impact players.
Another interesting draft. Raiders really messed up this draft. 27, the Raiders picked Jonathan Abrams, safety from Mississippi State. I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, he's just.
They should have taken a corner instead of a safety because they already. Who do they have? Carl Joseph, and they signed someone else at safety.
Yeah, I mean, one good thing with Abram, he's kind of. I compare him maybe to like a Landon Collins, and he's going to get the hard hits. But I don't know about his coverage play.
Because the Raiders, they needed a depth pick at safety. They didn't need a top pick at safety.
Mm-hmm.
Stand by. I'm going to see. I knew they had someone. They have Carl Joseph and still standing by. Oh, LaMarcus Joyner.
Yeah.
So those are two top safeties probably in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And they pick the second safety off the board.
Yeah, that's not, I would have picked.
I would have picked a corner if I were them because their corner position really isn't that right now. They have labeled as their top safety or cornerback Nick Nelson, Daryl Worley, Garyon Conley, Curtis Riley.
Yeah,
they needed a corner so
really
bad,
and they didn't pick one.
They should have picked Byron Murphy, but
yeah, they could have, and they kind of dropped the ball on two of their picks. The only good pick was Josh Jacobs in the first round.
And that was projected anyway, so it's not like that was a big, step up for them.
Mm-hmm.
I love this pick for the Chargers. Everyone knows they're my team. At 28, Jerry Tillery, defensive tackle from Notre Dame. He's got great upside. He could probably be one of the top defensive tackles in the league. They needed a defensive tackle really badly. He could rush the pass. He could stop the run. He's very explosive off the line. I'm glad they got him, but it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that Chargers defensive line. It could easily probably be the best in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Bosa, Ingram, and now Tillery. And then you have Justin Jones, Brandon Mebane. It's definitely going to be a great defensive line for the Chargers. Then you got Denzel Perryman and Thomas Davis as your inside linebackers. Uchenna Nwosu, another outside linebacker, and then you got Kazir White, who could be an outside linebacker, safety, inside linebacker. He could be a hybrid. Definitely going to be great to see Derwin James, who could play near the line, Rashawn Jenkins, Adrian Phillips. Definitely going to be a great defense. I think we should go cornerback with our 60th pick today. Definitely going to be interesting to see what happens with the Chargers defense. It's already top 10 in the league. With this pick, it could easily move us into the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Another questionable pick here. Seahawks picked up a lot of picks and still messed up their first pick.
Yeah, that was
they
kind of
picked
interesting.
Defensive end LJ Collier from TCU. Seahawks doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. He was kind of.
I have no idea.
I don't even know if he was really even projected to go in the second round.
Yeah, he had some second round looks, but
I'm sure they could have gotten him in the second round.
They could have gotten him in the second round, but definitely interesting. He's the replacement for Frank Clark, obviously. Giants at 30 picked DeAndre Baker, cornerback from Georgia. Interesting pick. I mean, they traded up 7 spots, and they gave up a lot to move up, and they probably could have got him at 37 because no one else in the first round was going to pick a cornerback. So they were basically looking at only 3 teams in front of them that were going to pick him in the second round. And
I mean, there were some GMs that were talking that Baker would be the first corner taken, and which he was. So, I mean, I think the Giants were they're being aggressive this draft. I think they were they didn't want to risk losing the guy they wanted. They obviously wanted Baker. I mean, they were obviously watching him, and they really wanted him. So they wanted to solidify the fact that they were going to get him.
Why not? Yeah, you want people, but you can't just go willy-nilly wanting players and just giving up picks.
But I think that's what the Giants, their plan was to have. They had 12 picks coming to the draft. So they had those picks to kind of give away.
But you have to trade them in a smart way.
Because
you can trade them, but you have to do it in a smart way. You can't just say, "Oh, we have picks, so just trade them."
Because you're not going to draft 12 guys, and they're not all going to come out into the league. You're not going to have.
But that's what makes competition. You have to have competition.
And
more competition hardens the players.
And you know what? I think getting Daniel Jones, going back to him, this is going to help Eli Manning because Coach Pat Shermer told Eli, it's your job to keep him off the field.
That's the dumbest thing to say.
I think that's what Eli
because
needs is some competition.
It's supposed to be Daniel Jones's job to get on the field, not Eli's job to keep him. Eli's job is now supposed to prepare him, not keep him off the field. So that's probably the dumbest thing.
That gives Eli some motivation. And if Eli, he's like, oh, I've got competition, I could lose my job. Like
but then you're wasting Daniel Jones's years to grow.
But the thing is, it didn't hurt Aaron Rodgers when he sat for 3 years. And that's what could happen with Daniel Jones. I think that helped Aaron Rodgers. He got to sit there, learn from a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Yeah, but when you're telling your quarterback to keep him off the field.
Well, that's just motivation. I mean, that's just motivational.
I still wouldn't say it to him. I would say teach him. You're not supposed to keep him off the field.
Well, it's not Eli's job to teach him, though.
Then whose is it?
It's the quarterback's coach, the offensive coordinator's coach.
Yeah, but Eli still mentors him.
I mean,
he's supposed to teach him.
Eli's going to be knowing Eli, he's going to teach him. And that's just how Eli is. He's one of the classiest people in the NFL. But I think that's just lights a fire under Eli. This is a year to prove that he can still play and to deserve another contract. So Eli's going to come out there and play. Honestly, this could be Eli's best year of his career.
I don't know about that. With Odell out?
I mean, his best years were without Odell.
But Odell still helped him a lot. Like, look at Odell. He got 1,000 receiving yards a lot of the years.
But most of Eli's interceptions came when targeting Odell.
Yeah, he had the interceptions with him as well. But also, Odell gave him like 100 yards a game at the same time. I'll take that any day. If I threw an interception a game going his way, but also getting 100 yards just for him, I will take that any day.
But I think people are sleeping on Tate and Shepard. I think they're they're a top 15 duo in the NFL.
Yeah, but I think the thing you guys are going to lack is like a red zone presence because Shepard's a little bit on the my thoughts are Shepard, I see him as a slot receiver, and Tate, I really don't see him. I don't think he's a number one receiver in the league. I think he's a solid 2 and a pretty good 1, but I view Evan Ingram, I don't think he's a solid tight end. I think he's a good wide receiver. I don't view him as a big pass catching. He can't block either. That's the thing. But I don't know. I just think the offense is a little bit mismatched when you look at it. Yeah, you have a slot receiver in Shepard who's probably going to be playing out wide, which he probably shouldn't be. I don't know. It's just interesting to me what's going to happen with that Giants offense, not having depth at running back.
And I mean, at the end of last year, you saw the Giants without Odell Beckham, and they were putting up 35 a game. And those were against playoff teams. So, I mean, the offense, I think, isn't the problem. The defense, I think it's gotten better. I think it's still not as good as it should be. But I think the Giants, as opposed to what people were saying, the Giants are going to get 2 wins next year. I think that's just not possible. I think the Giants are improving. They're getting players. They're going to be better than they were last year. I don't think they could go down.
Not getting a top defensive end is going to kill them. I don't know. They could have gotten so much better. They could have still gotten a top edge rusher, a top offensive tackle.
I think DJ Hill could play defensive end. I think he's one of those kind of versatile guys. I think
he's way too big to play D end. They have him listed on some places that he is a defensive end. He's 303 pounds. There's no way he could play defensive end at 300 pounds. That's insane if he could play. And then they have RJ McIntosh listed. He's 285, which is a little bit bigger for a defensive end as well. They just don't have any true defensive ends. And then
Miles Humphrey, which we haven't seen on the field yet, so we don't know how he is. And he's at 238.
I don't even know who he is. He's probably not going to translate anyway. But I don't know. It's just defensive line. Yeah, they have Lawrence, Tomlinson, and BJ Hill he's average. I mean, he had in 16 games, he only had 32 tackles, 16 assists. I mean,
yeah,
he doesn't have that many tackles.
Yeah. So
you're really only looking at Lawrence and Tomlinson, and they're both D tackles. That's what I'm saying is you got Dexter Lawrence. Yeah, probably. He's a top 5 D tackle, top 10 defensive lineman in the draft, but then I don't know. And then you just gave up way too much to get the first cornerback off the board when you would have had one at 37, which would
But I mean, you got the best corner, and you got the best corner in the draft. He was the best corner in college football last year. So I mean,
yeah, but that was college football.
You can't
We're not
argue
going
against
into the NFL.
And he's a hard hitter. He doesn't miss tackles.
I don't think he's the best corner. He's 5'10", like 170
and he played against
pounds.
He played against the toughest teams in college football, and he played in the SEC. So that's a tough conference, and to be the best corner after through that it's impressive.
Yeah, it's the SEC, but how many good receivers were from the SEC?
I mean, he had to play against Bama a few times, and he really he did his job.
Really,
and he only gave up one touchdown in his career, and that was in 2016 in the Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah, but
TCU.
Bama, their receivers really aren't that big names right now. And even for next year's draft, there's no Bama. It's not like Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, those type of big guys. So if you look at the SEC, there's really not that many good wide receivers.
He did go up against Calvin Ridley for 2 years.
I don't know. I just think he's undersized. Yeah, he makes tackles.
I don't think size is going to be that big. I mean, he's got the speed. He's
at 5'10", 175.
He's got the coverage. I mean, he's gone up against big guys before, and he's
but NFL is a lot different. I always say this: when you go to the pros, not everyone makes it from college. So he's facing people who probably won't even make it to the NFL at certain points.
I think he'll be the 2 to start. I think you got Janoris Jenkins going to lock down.
And also, you got to look at the quarterbacks he's facing too. That's the thing. You're not facing top NFL prospects. That's why I don't look at that. I look at his ability. His ability, yeah, he could tackle, he can cover a little bit. But the thing is, I heard he doesn't work out in the offseason. He doesn't work out a lot. He doesn't strength. He has good tackling ability. But when you come into the NFL and you face someone like Mike Evans, Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, you face elusive, big wide receivers who you haven't faced yet. And he's going to be on the Giants, and he's not going to face that many good wide receivers in his division. So he's going to be facing a lot better receivers. Yeah, cool. He faced some no-name receivers in college. Cool. Now you're going to have to go against number 1s or number 2s in the NFL. So it's a huge difference from going, because there's a number 1 receiver on every team. Yeah, a defensive end, he can go up against a shitty tackle every single week. But when you face an NFL team every single week, you're guaranteed to run into a good wide receiver every single week. If you look at every single team in the NFL, almost a good, I would say 25 teams have a true number 1 receiver on their team. If you look at it, I'll go in here and I'll look, because it's a big difference. It's like players from the NCAA or for college basketball. Yeah, cool. They did good in college basketball, but you're facing a lot of scrubs who aren't even going to make it to the NBA. Same thing with football. A lot of the defensive linemen, they're facing offensive linemen who won't even see the draft. And even these wide receivers, yeah, they look flashy on the field, but can they translate to the NFL where almost every single player is a top player? So just going to be, crazy to see. And plus, I get DeAndre Baker. He's the top 3 corner. A lot of people didn't even have him in the top 2. They had Murphy and Williams. If they traded up to get Murphy or Williams, yeah, that's good. But to get a lot of people had him as the 3rd best corner in the draft. It's just not worth it. So if you look at teams in the NFL, Kansas City, Tyreek Hill, probably on his way out. New England, they have Edelman, which is Houston, DeAndre Hopkins. Baltimore, they don't even pass the ball, so it doesn't even matter. Chargers, Keenan Allen. Colts, T.Y. Hilton, yeah. Pittsburgh, they have Juju, which is good. Tennessee, Corey Davis. Cleveland, that's going to be tough to guard. Jarvis Landry and Odell. Miami, they're really going to be run first this year. Denver, they have Sanders, yeah. Cincinnati, AJ Green. Jacksonville, who even knows? Oakland, they're going to be tough to guard with Brown. Michael Thomas for New Orleans. Rangers. Los Angeles, they're going to be tough to guard. They got Cooks, Woods, and Cup. Chicago, I don't know. I just don't see him translating yeah, he's going to be good, but is he worth trading all those picks to move up when you basically had a 90% chance to get him a couple spots later? It just doesn't make sense.
But it's just, like I said, Gettleman had that. He had the idea. I mean, he had his eyes set on him. He wanted to make sure he got him. And the Seahawks are willing to trade.
As I said before, I know you want to make sure you get him, but to move up 7 spots and give up a 4th rounder and a 5th rounder just to move up 7 spots when I get what you're saying. Yeah, you want players, you move up and everything like that, but basically 6 spots, well, 5 because you had the 30 and because 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, basically moving up 6 spots to get a player that 90%, basically a 90% chance he would have been there at 37. Even if he wasn't, you still had Byron Murphy and Greedy Williams, basically the 2 top corners in the draft. You still would have had your cream of the crop pick at 37, and you trade up to get him, and you give up a prime 4th rounder and a prime 5th rounder where you're going to need depth still. Not even depth. You need talent at defensive end. Probably you're going to need 2 picks there now because you should have gotten a top prospect at 6 or 17. You're going to need a top prospect at offensive tackle, depth at safety, depth at wide receiver, depth at running back. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just for a team that has more needs than they just needed to pick at every pick for the draft because they needed basically talent or depth at every single position. And to give up draft picks when you still need depth at 4 or 5 positions, that's just tough to do. And now you don't have a pick until the late 3rd round, given that you don't trade up. It's just hard for a team that has more, needs than wants at this point. Because for a team like the Giants that need to pick by need and not want, they're not the type of team to start drafting by wants and throwing picks away. Because at this point in the franchise, they need to draft by need, not want. Chargers, we could do want. We could do that because we're a top 5 team in the NFL easily because we're that good of a team. If you're in the top 6 picks, you can't start throwing away these draft picks like nothing and going on wants. You got to be going on need. You have to be going not who's top available on the board. You have to go by what you need and who is the best at that need. Not, we want the 3rd best cornerback, so we're going to trade a 4th and a 5th when he probably is going to be there at 37. That's a team like the Patriots could do that because they have tons of picks. So Patriots could do that like that.
I don't know. He's got the potential to be the best cornerback. I mean, I don't know. You can't just base it off of, people are saying he's the 3rd best. I mean,
yeah, but when you have like almost every single site saying he's not even a top 2 cornerback, and I get he has the potential to be, but when you had a good 80, 90% chance he would have been there at 37, and you still give up 2 picks, 4th and 5th rounders to move up 7 spots, I don't know. It just
they really needed a corner. So I think they got the corner that they wanted.
I know. Yeah, I know they needed one, but they still had Murphy, Williams, and Baker.
But they probably just didn't see what they needed out of those guys. They probably saw what Baker was doing, and they're like, all right, he's had success with a top team in college football, so we're sure he can, learn and adjust to the NFL pretty quickly. And they needed a guy that's going to step on that field week 1.
Yeah, but he probably would have been there at 37. That's the thing.
I think he can handle the 2 receivers in the NFC East. What do you got? Michael Gallup, Allen Hurns. I think he can keep up.
Well, Amari Cooper.
Well, Cooper's gonna be the one, and I'm sure they'll leave Jenkins on him.
Depending on what they want to do, because Jenkins is probably going to guard the bigger receivers, and he's going to be on the smaller ones.
And anyway. Then we got Aguilar on the Eagles if he doesn't get traded.
DeAndre Baker, he had the slowest 30 or 40-yard dash of Williams, Murphy, and Baker. He had the slowest of the 3 of them. So he's not going to be guarding quick. He's not a quick cornerback. He's not big and strong. He's not quick. He's just gritty. That's it. It's like he doesn't really have too much pizzazz to him. He's just a good tackler. And you don't want a good cornerback that's a tackler because that shows he's giving up passes. Because why would you label a cornerback a good tackler? Because that means he's giving up catches.
But I think he's close enough to where they could fix that in the offseason training camp. I think they could fix all that.
I don't know. It's going to be tough. You can't change strength and quickness in one offseason, especially for a rookie. I don't know. He's going to need a lot of work. Once he faces it, he's not going to be able to face a quick receiver. He's not going to be able to face a big receiver either. Yeah, he faced a couple big ones, but when you go into the NFL, he's going to face better quarterbacks, better receivers. It's just what's going to happen. Yeah, he had good film against scrub wide receivers and quarterbacks, but once you get to the NFL, it's a totally different game, especially as a cornerback, most importantly, because you're facing better quarterbacks and number one receivers every single week. So, and the amount of good receivers because what do they play, 10 games? He probably faced a good receiver 2-3 times out of those 10 weeks, and a good quarterback, same thing, probably 2-3 weeks out of that season. When you go into the NFL, you play 16 games. He's probably going to face a good receiver 12, 13 weeks out of the season. He's probably going to face a good quarterback probably about 10, 12 times in the season. So it's definitely going to be big to see what happens with him. If he does good, he does good. But it's the same thing with every player. Every player can, when you come into the draft, when you get drafted, every player can be a Hall of Famer and every player can be a bust. Just how it goes. But right now, it just Giants looks like weird moves, and even all the fans are saying it. And all the analysts, a bunch of the analysts have been laughing at the Giants because they just made like dumb moves. But the Falcons, they picked Caleb McGarry, offensive tackle from Washington at 31. Dumb move. Shouldn't have. I don't know why they traded up for him. Just a stupid move. Another thing where he could have been there at their pick later in the draft, and then they just traded up to get him.
If they would have traded up and got like a defensive lineman, then that would have been good for them, or even a corner, then they would have been fine.
At this point, there really was no top defensive lineman left.
To really trade up like that for an offensive lineman that you drafted at 14 already, I just don't like that. I think their defense is still.
Oh, because McGarry is going to be a tackle, and where is he? Lindstrom's going to be a guard.
But I don't know how you're going to do it with two rookies. I don't think they needed two of them like that desperately. I think they really needed
one of them would have been fine.
They needed defense. I mean, if they would have traded up and got defense,
at least their offensive line will be set for years to come.
Yeah, but now the defense, the Falcons can't keep,
Well, it's also good because there's a lot of depth at the defensive side of this year's draft, which is good. That's probably what they were thinking about too. Is there's a lot of depth for this year's draft.
I mean, it's just I don't know. I think they need top guys. I don't even think they need depth. They need top guys. Yes, the injury bug hit them last year, but they need top guys. They can't have what they had last year happen again, or it's just not going to be too good for the Falcons. I mean, I know Falcons fans were not pleased with taking two offensive linemen, not touching the defense. It's iffy for the Falcons. I think it's just questionable.
I think it's a dumb move, but it still helps them, but it's still dumb. Mm-hmm. Chiefs acquired defensive end Frank Clark from the Seahawks in exchange for the 29th pick, a 2020 second-round pick, and a swap of mid-round picks for this year. Chiefs were looking for more of a pass rush, another stupid move, and then they gave him a 5-year, $105.5 million contract extension with like $64 million guaranteed.
Yeah, that's just a lot.
That's way too much for Clark, even that trade. But then the Seahawks still ended up trading away that 29, or I don't know what they did.
Well, they kept the 29th and traded the 30th.
Still, they ended up trading one of their firsts.
Because I think they got who did they get the 30th from?
They traded back at 21.
Oh, they got the Packers. The Packers.
Yeah, the Packers traded up. Yeah.
So,
it's definitely a questionable pick.
The Seahawks must be just looking for depth now because they have a ton of picks in the back end of this draft because they had like no picks going into this draft.
They need talent though. They lost so many people on that defense. It's crazy. Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, Frank Clark, Bruce Irvin. The only ones they have left now are just Bobby Wagner, and I can't even name anyone else.
And who knows how long Wagner is going to be there for? I mean, he's getting up there in age, so
yeah. Who knows? Maybe he'll request a trade. But definitely a lot for Frank Clark, and then signing him to that big of an extension. That's
averaging $21 million a year, and that's just a lot of money
for Frank Clark.
He's not even a
top 10.
Yeah,
he's getting like top 5 money.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine what Joey Bosa is going to get. Seahawks then signed quarterback Russell Wilson, it happened before, but signed Russell Wilson to a 4-year, $140 million contract extension. This happened a little while ago, but as I said in the beginning, we haven't been here in a while. So we're just recapping some stuff that happened before, but this is kind of a thing we have to address because it's basically he's the highest paid quarterback. We have to address this. What are your thoughts on this extension?
I think he deserved the money. He deserved to be the top paid quarterback because look at what he did last year with the team that was supposed to be awful. He wasn't supposed to be like the Seahawks weren't supposed to make the playoffs last year, and Russell Wilson led them to 10-6 into the playoffs. And arguably, if Janikowski doesn't get hurt at the end of the first half against the Cowboys, they could probably win the game. So, they move into this divisional round with the kicker, and all because of Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson has been an influential quarterback because you look at the Cardinals, they picked Kyler Murray because he's basically the same height as Russell Wilson.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because there were rumors of Russell Wilson maybe wanting to go to New York, maybe getting traded there or leaving there via free agency. I think he's definitely worth the $140 million for the 4 years. Super Bowl winning quarterback. He could still do it out of the pocket, in the pocket. He can make it happen. It's crazy how much money.
Line was awful.
Offensive line was actually good for them last year.
2 years ago was awful.
Running wise, they averaged.
They have no run. They have no run game. It's all Russell Wilson.
What they led the league in rushing yards last year.
No, I'm thinking the other.
Tom Gaps.
No, but Russell Wilson.
I'll delete that one.
He makes the passing.
Do you know how many yards?
He makes the passing game. Russell Wilson.
That's what I said before. I said he makes the team.
Who's there as top receiver? Doug Baldwin. He was out for half the season.
And Tyler Lockett.
But.
And they have no tight end.
And no tight end. So
no, but they led the league in rushing yards last year.
They did?
Yeah.
No, I didn't think
160 yards per game.
With Carson?
Yeah, they had let me see. Yeah, they had Chris Carson, and then they drafted what was that kid's name from last year? They drafted I got it. They drafted him in the first round, and he wasn't even supposed to be like in there. Rashad Penny.
Yeah,
that's Penny. It. Carson and Penny, those two, they killed it. If you look at their stats, they averaged rush yards per game 160 first. Okay. Points per game, they were 6th. Points against 11th, yards per game 18th. For a team that basically only had Baldwin for about a couple games, and your top receiver was Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, no, it's
That's good. And then they had Dron Brown. I don't know. Nick Vanette as your top tight end. Ed Dixon, Will Disley. I don't know. That offensive line's not going to be that bad. Mike Eovaldi, DJ Fluker is now in there. Dwayne Brown, Jermaine Ifedi, Justin Britt. That's an average offensive line.
The pass protection wasn't good last year. Russell Wilson, every time you looked, he's scrambling out of the pocket.
Well, that's just kind of the quarterback he is. He likes getting out of the pocket. It's like,
Wilson.
You can kind of compare it to like Baker Mayfield. He loves going out of the pocket. Mahomes loves going out of the pocket. Wilson loves going. Like certain quarterbacks, when they see a little bit of pressure, they want to get out of the pocket. So it's just like he's that type of player that he knows he's able to, so he will.
But over the years, too, like you look, even a few years ago when they played like the Falcons in the playoffs, the offensive line has always let him down in the pass game.
Yeah.
Because he gets just killed in these big games, and he has no time to even think. And he's getting killed. And he's getting the team 10 wins on a team that shouldn't even – that was going into the season maybe 6-10.
Dolphins are getting closer for Rosen. They're almost close in talks.
It'd be interesting to see what they get for Rosen. People were surprised he didn't get traded yesterday.
48th pick.
The 48th pick? Okay.
So, definitely interesting for Russell Westbrook. Another quarterback getting an extension. Quarterback Ben Roethlisberger signed a 2-year, $63 million contract extension with the Steelers. I think the money is a tiny bit too much. I think he should have got, less, but he's he's still putting up career numbers, and it's crazy.
Mhm.
I think without Brown, without
Bell.
yeah, we didn't see him last
Yeah.
year, but still, like in his mind, Bell's not there, Brown's not there. Vance McDonald as your top tight end, he's pretty good. He's an average tight end.
I think it's gonna almost be like the same as Eli Manning. I think you're gonna have a smarter mindset. You're not gonna be thinking, oh well, all right, let me just look for AB. He'll be open, and then you force the ball, and it's intercepted. And that's what happened with Eli with Odell Beckham. A lot of interceptions, trying to force it to your top guy. And now you got, Juju is the number one guy. I think he can be the number one guy. He's just as good or just a little, under AB. But, I mean, he put up better numbers in his first couple of years than AB did. So I think Juju has all the potential. And I think he's smarter than AB. I think he's better with the ball in his hands than AB. I feel like
he's good. I think he's not going to be a top number one receiver in the league. I don't think.
The biggest thing for Big Ben though is he's got to cut down on the interceptions.
Yeah,
especially in big games, he'll throw just stupid interceptions, and he's got to cut that out if the Steelers are going to have any shot this year.
Mm-hmm. Another player with an extension happened a little while ago, but we wanted to touch on it a little bit. Vikings signed wide receiver Adam Thielen to a 4-year, $64 million contract extension.
I think that's perfect.
It's crazy how Thielen fell onto their lap, and now they have Diggs and Thielen. And then we know the Patriots have interest in Kyle Rudolph, tight end for the Vikings. That'd be a good get for the Patriots.
I mean, Thielen, he started the year last year with 8 or 9 games with 100 yards?
Yeah.
It was like a record.
And at least 10 receptions in each game or something like that.
I think it's a well-deserved contract. I think it's just on the money, $16 million a year. I like it. Diggs and Thielen are, I don't know if I say underrated duo. They're definitely not talked about as much as they really should.
They're easily a top 5, top 10 duo.
Yeah,
in that range.
Viking. That's another team that has just so much potential, and they just
because they gave Cousins too much money.
Mm-hmm.
And they let a lot of people walk on defense.
Yeah, their defense slipped up last year as compared to the year before, which the defense.
Also, Dalvin Cook being injured really killed them.
Yeah.
Especially when your top running back is having injury issues, that really messes you up.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about the Tyreek Hill situation. There was an audio released that basically admitted that he was hitting his son, punching him, hitting him with a belt. What are your thoughts on this, Dom? I think he should just be kicked off the team, banned from the NFL. Stuff like this should not be. And NFL takes the longest of any company, organization, whatever you want to say, to release people or fire, whatever it may be. They take the longest. It's the longest process. And I don't know, for stuff like this, he just needs to be out. Anybody hitting their kid, breaking his arm, telling his wife, you should be scared of me too, bitch. Basically punching his son in the chest, hitting him. It's so stupid how he's not released yet. This Chiefs did suspend him from football activities for the near being. What do you think about this, Dom?
Well, what was it? Adrian Peterson years ago, he got what was it, like a 6-game suspension? 4, 6, 8-game suspension.
Yeah. Madden 20. Here we go, Dom. It's going to have a new career mode with college quarterbacks.
Ooh.
There we go. There we go. Back to Tyreek Hill.
But
I don't know. Do you think he should be released?
I think, as much as you'd hate to hear this, I think, you wait a little bit. You find out
what else do you need? He admitted on the audio tapes.
I think you got to – well, first, they still haven't proved that was him.
No, NFL the DA confirmed, district attorney, and the NFL confirmed those were the voices of him and his fiance.
Oh, okay. So
also, as we said last night, we were talking about it because we were in the Open Table Sports war room for the draft.
Mm-hmm.
We found out that the police actually raided his home, and they were there for over 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And Tyreek Hill was called to the home.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you wouldn't just raid someone's house over thoughts of something happening. So, I don't know. This isn't looking good for Tyreek Hill. Also, he's had problems with hitting people before. Because if you remember, he punched
Oh, it's just like an ad thing.
It's an ad. I was like, someone comment that.
Yeah.
He punches when his his fiance was pregnant with this kid. He punched her while she was pregnant. So it's not like this is his first offense, and it's not like this is one hit. This is repetitive. Police have been there multiple occasions. He's admitted to it. The kid broke the kid's arm, punches him in the chest repeatedly, hits him with the belt. Like, it's just crazy. Like,
I mean, you wait another couple weeks, and I think you just wait. I think you just wait until
I would wait this weekend. How much more do they need?
Like, if anything, if he gets punished by like the law, and then if something happens, I mean, they already suspended him from all activities, so I mean, they could really release him whenever they want. So I mean, they don't have to rush to do that because.
And they released Kareem Hunt just from him having a slight kick to a girl, and that was evidence. And they have evidence of this, and it's much worse. And that's what everyone's saying on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You know, they're saying this is a lot worse, and they still haven't done anything.
I think the Chiefs are in that mode. They're like, well, we lost Kareem Hunt. We can't lose Tyreek Hill. We're going to try everything we can to keep
That's
him.
a bad moral. That's a bad look. I'm telling you. No matter what team it is. If he was on the Giants, what would you say?
I mean, I think he'd be released. I think the Giants are a team that don't.
Bingo.
They
if he was on the Chargers, he would already be out. The door would already be hitting his ass.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan Eovaldi's having surgery on his elbow for loose bodies. He will be out for 2 to 3 months. The Red Sox, I don't even know what to say about them. Their pitching is awful. They split a series against the Tigers, and they were making fun of us for us winning 1 out of the 3, or 1 out of the 3 against them.
If they split it, they lose 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Red Sox have been really bad. I mean, through 24 games last year, they were 20-4. This year, they were 9-15.
Last year, they got lucky because they got off to a really good start.
Yeah, they were like miles ahead at the beginning, and it kind of just allowed them to breeze through the rest of the season.
Yeah,
with the confidence, and now and the funny part is they haven't really lost anybody from last year, and they're playing just awful.
Yeah, if you look, no, they lost Kimbrel.
But I mean, they can't even make it to the 9th inning with the lead anymore. So
yeah, I don't know. They lost Blake Swihart, but
yeah.
I don't know. It's just crazy. I think last year was a fluke, and I even said it like right after they won. I said they got lucky. If you look at their roster from last year, honestly, like their infield was Devers, who's not that good. Bogart's one of the best shortstops in the league. And then your second baseman was Brock Holt, Eduardo Nunez.
Yeah.
And then your first baseman was Steve Pearce and Mitch Moreland. I don't like that. If I had to label that out or infield before last year, I wouldn't even label it top 15 or even 20. Not even 20. You look at their outfield, it's a top 5 and top 3 in the MLB. Catching position is awful. Basically, their only highlights from last year was just their outfield, and even their starting pitching wasn't that good. Rodriguez wasn't that great. Sale had a good year. But Sale right now, he's doing awful.
Yep. One of the worst ERAs in the league.
But not looking too good for them this year. Then we're going to get into the NBA first round results and thoughts.
Yawn.
It's pretty boring. You only have, looking on our Dom's phone here.
What, all the series go 5 or less except for
and a lot of them are fluke wins, like Milwaukee swept Detroit 4-0. Boston swept Indiana 4-0. Philadelphia beat Brooklyn 4-1. That one Brooklyn win was a fluke. Toronto beat Orlando 4-1. That one win was a fluke. LA's taking Golden State to 6 games, so we're still waiting on that series. Houston beat Utah 4-1. That one win was a fluke. Portland beat Oklahoma City 4-1. That one win was a fluke. I see a theme here.
Yeah.
Denver and San Antonio, I never would have thought that'd be the best series.
Yeah.
3-3, they're going to game 7, so that'll be interesting to see. I think Denver's going to take it. They're going to be at home. They're going to be rowdy. So I think all the top seeds are going to win. Denver's going to win. Portland won. Houston won. Golden State won. Toronto, Philadelphia, Boston, Milwaukee.
Yeah.
All the top seeds won. You're probably going to see Philadelphia beat Toronto. Milwaukee's probably going to beat Boston. Golden State's probably going to beat Houston. Portland and Denver is going to be a very interesting series.
The only problem with Denver is their bench. I mean, they've been talking about how Jokic comes out and they just fall apart.
Yeah.
Because what did Jokic have? Like 43 points?
43 points, 12 rebounds and 7 assists, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think Portland might be the favorites in
You look at
that series.
You look at their roster. Jamal Murray, Monte Morris at point guard, pretty good. Jamal Murray's very underrated though. Shooting guard, Gary Harris and Malik Beasley, pretty good. I would say both of them are solid where they are. Jamal Murray, let's look at his stats. He's averaging 18 for this season.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. He averages 10, 17, and then 18.
Yeah.
Which is good. And he's playing on average that was 2018. He was averaging 19. This year, he's averaging over 20 points for this season. So, I mean, Jamal Murray averaging over 20 points per game this season.
Yeah.
That's good. And then you look at Gary Harris, another underrated player. He's averaging 13 points per game, 17 the year before, 15 the year before that, and 12. So that's solid. So you're basically getting 20, basically that's 15. So you're basically getting 35, 40 points a night from your two guards, which you don't even need that much from because you still have Will Barton at small forward who's averaging, 12 points per game, but he was injured this season a little bit, only played 43 games. But then before that, averaged 16, 14, 14. So you're basically getting another 10 points from him, which is good.
Yeah.
And then you have Paul Millsap. I mean, one of the best power forwards in the league. He's at 13, 15, 18, 17, 16, 18. So he's solid. You're basically getting 15, 20 points from him a night. So basically from your 1 through 4 position, you're getting 60 points a night from, which is, 40. 15. No, you're basically getting like 70 points a night from your 1 through 4. And then you're getting Jokic, you're getting at least 25 from him a night. So from your starters, you're basically looking at least 80, 85 points a night. That's just from your starters.
Yeah, when you compare the starters, I mean, Denver should have had the series in 5 or 6.
Yeah. But then if you look at depth, they have good depth for their bigs. Hernan Gomez, Mason Plumlee, Trey Lyles. Pretty decent depth. Other than that, Monte Morris is pretty decent, and Malik Beasley is, he's all right.
Yeah,
Malik Beasley, he's actually averaging 11 points off the bench for this season. Off the bench,
which isn't bad.
If you're averaging over 10 points a game off the bench on 23 minutes average a night,
that's not bad.
That's good off the bench, in my opinion. Shooting 47% from the field and 40% from 3. I'm telling you, Malik Beasley's good for depth. I think their depth right now is average. It's average. But I think they could, with Nurkic being out for Denver, for Portland, I think Denver's going to win. It could go 7, but I have Denver right now going over against Portland. If Portland faces the Spurs, it's already over. I think Portland's going to beat the Spurs.
And Golden State up against Houston, that could be a good series.
That could go 6-7 easily.
The East is actually interesting because you
East
have Milwaukee and Boston.
Yeah.
I think that can go 6 or 7, and Toronto and Philly could go 6 or 7.
I think you could book that for going 7. I think definitely going to be crazy. But the first round was definitely uneventful. Probably one of the most uneventful first rounds.
Yeah,
I think almost ever. I don't even know, but. Now we're going to look at the NHL first round results and reactions, but we're already in the second round, so we're a little bit late.
Yeah.
We saw the Bruins beat the Blue Jackets last night in game 1, 3-2 in overtime. Then the Blues, they beat the Stars. What was the final score of that one? Was that
3-2?
3-2 as well. That's what I thought. If you talk about difference between NBA and NHL first rounds, different ends of the spectrum. Every single top seed in the NBA
is going to win.
And then in the NHL, you saw a lot of bottom seeds win. Every single wild card.
All the division winners lost in the first round.
Crazy. You could take this away.
And that just shows how unpredictable the NHL playoffs are.
Yeah, and we said it weeks ago.
I mean, my picks for the Stanley Cup were Nashville and Washington.
Yeah,
both out.
My picks were the Lightning and the Sharks.
And the Lightning got swept. The Lightning, who won 62 games this year, got swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, that would never happen in the NBA. So, I mean, Nashville, you'd think they'd beat the Stars. That didn't happen. Winnipeg and Blues, I think that one could have went either way. I think the Blues deserve that. And now, what was it? The Blues are like the betting odds favorite to make it out of the West.
Yeah, right now
the
it's
finals.
Bruins and Blues to be the Stanley Cup.
And then you look at Colorado. I mean, they have some potential. Philip Grubauer in net, has been really good, replacing Varlamov. And then you got the Golden Knights and Sharks game, and some people are saying, including me, the Sharks shouldn't even be there.
Yeah, Sharks shouldn't even be. It's
that
like
5-minute
it's like the
major
Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah.
They shouldn't even have been there.
That 5-minute major should have never been called. It should have been 2 minutes at the most.
Yeah.
And just the fact that they had a 5-minute major, they got 4 goals on it, and that's what propelled them. Because before that, the Sharks were dead in the water. I mean, they were down 3-0, had no help. It was over.
Dom, you know what I just noticed? You have a University of New Haven sweatshirt on.
Yeah, I have a friend that goes there.
Why?
Because I don't know, it's a nice sweatshirt. It feels comfortable.
Dom, as everyone knows, we go to the University of Bridgeport, and basically they're not our rivals, but like they're close.
Yeah, I mean they're 20 minutes apart. They play each other in sports. We took them in baseball 14-5 a couple weeks ago.
14-5. Jeez, was it the Red Sox? So,
and in the East, you got, I mean, Columbus. That's the biggest shocker, obviously. 4-game sweep on the Lightning.
Here's who I want. NBA, I can give 2 fucks about, but for the NHL, I want the Blue Jackets to win. I want the Islanders to win. I want the Avalanche, and then I really don't care for Dallas or St. Louis. If I had to pick, probably Dallas, I guess. Just because St. Louis, because of the Cardinals and Brewers, that's really what I break it down to. But if I had to pick something I want, Avalanche and Blue Jackets. I just want to see
That'd be an insane final. Like no one would expect that.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of want to see that. It'd be interesting.
I think that'd be a 7-game series.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I mean, as it's looking right now, it's probably going to be Bruins and Islanders and then Blues and Sharks.
Yeah, I could see that. But, I mean, again, we've seen
a lot of crazy shit
happen. Of crazy stuff, so anything could happen. Bruins took game 1, and the Sharks could – or not the Sharks. The Blues took game 1.
Yeah, Blues took game 1.
Anything could happen. I think – Columbus and Boston could go 7.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a close game. Same with Dallas and St. Louis. All series have the potential to go to game 7 in the NHL. I mean, we saw 3 game 7s in round 1.
Yeah. So now time for our halftime viewer mail. We don't have any questions. You know what? You guys need to send in your questions. If you're listening, follow us, Open Table Sports, on all social media facets. We do put out those questions. No, we don't put out the question, but we send out the tweet to send in the questions. If you have, it could be something stupid. Like, just send in any kind of question you have. We love answering your questions. We love hearing your guys' thoughts and, whatever it may be. Just send them in. Mm-hmm. You have anything to say about the halftime viewer mail to vent out your frustrations? I
mean, you could just ask us, what sport, what ball do you use in tennis? We'll answer it. Just send us something,
Well, I just got my softball schedule.
Ooh, softball?
Yeah. Wait, where is it?
Are you playing?
Yeah, I play. I'm a pitcher.
Ooh, I'm going to be playing soccer this summer. So, Open Table Sports be taking the field this summer.
Yeah. Hang on, I want to look at my schedule. You want to do the rundown?
Yeah. So, we'll get into our rundown before we end the show. So, we'll start with the NBA. The Suns fired head coach Igor Koskakov. And then the Kings hired Luke Walton as their new head coach, and he's being sued for sexual assault from the past experience with the Warriors. Into some MLB, we got the Brewers signed starting pitcher Gio Gonzalez to a 1-year, $2 million contract. The A's signed DH/outfielder Chris Davis to a 2-year contract extension. The Yankees signed infielders Logan Morrison and Brad Miller. The Blue Jays signed, they didn't sign. Their starting pitcher, Matt Shoemaker, will miss the rest of the 2019 season with a torn ACL. Big blow for the Blue Jays. The Diamondbacks acquired catcher Blake Swihart and some international cash for outfielder Marcus Wilson. The Yankees acquired outfielder Cameron Maybin from the Indians for cash. And then into some golf. Tiger Woods, a couple weeks ago, won the 2019 Masters. Big comeback for Tiger Woods. Some saying that it's the biggest comeback in sports history. He hasn't won a major since 2008. Fabio Finini won the Monte Carlo Masters tournament, his first ever Masters 1000. And Kevin Anderson will miss the remainder of the clay court season. Into some NHL, the Flyers hired Alain Vigneault as their new head coach, former Rangers head coach. Not a big fan. The Kings hired Todd McClellan as their new head coach. So Kings trying to make some moves.
Making $1 million moves.
To some NFL. The Marshawn Lynch retired from the NFL along with Jonathan Stewart. 49ers kicker Robbie Gould wants to be traded to the Bears, but we found out this morning that the 49ers are not trading Robbie Gould. So he will not be traded. You got the Patriots. They signed Demaryius Thomas to a one-year contract. The Panthers signed Chris Hogan to a one-year contract. Falcons signed safety J.J. Wilcox along with defensive tackle Grady Jarrett to his franchise tag. The Eagles re-signed defensive tackle Timmy Jernigan to a one-year contract. And then the Ravens exercised the fifth-year option on offensive tackle Ronnie Stanley. Jaguars also exercised the fifth-year option on cornerback Jalen Ramsey. Chargers did the same with defensive end Joey Bosa. And the Cowboys with Ezekiel Elliott. The Saints also exercised the fifth-year option on defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins. And the 49ers exercised their fifth-year option on defensive tackle DeForest Buckner. The Buccaneers, the final team to exercise a fifth-year option, they did that with cornerback Vernon Hargraves. And the Ravens signed kicker Justin Tucker to a 4-year, $23 million contract extension, making him the highest paid kicker in the NFL.
Looks like New England is sneaking into those talks for Rosen.
They never count anything off the table with the Patriots.
So we're going to go into our Of the Week segment. It's a little bit new. We like to add it. We like to hear your guys' thoughts on anything about the podcast, Open Table Sports as a whole. Our team of the week is the Yankees. 4-1 this week, scored 30 runs. So far, it's only Friday, depending on when you're listening to this podcast. They're doing this with the AAA lineup and 13 guys on the IL.
And, they had another guy added, was Clint Frazier, who was starting to heat up for the Yankees, starting to prove why the Yankees never traded him. Then he's, kind of sprained his ankle. I think it's a minor injury. He'll only be out for a couple weeks. And now the Yankees, with the Rail Riders up in the majors, took 3 out of 4 from the Angels, and they were on a 6 or 7 game winning streak before that. So impressive for the Yankees, keeping up where they should be.
It shows the depth
of
the Yankees, and that's what people underestimate about a team is people are like, oh yeah, well, like this, that, and the other. It's like, well, we have depth.
And the trades over the past few years have really helped this.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the players the Yankees got rid of to get, and what they got in return is just insane.
So it looks like second-round pick is going to the Cardinals for Rosen. Nothing's finalized, but that's what it's looking like right now. But, yeah, Yankees are doing good. I mean, yeah, they face, the Royals and the Angels. Hey, you're still winning with who? Mike Ford, Mike Talkman, Tyler Wade. I don't even know. Kyle Higashioka, Austin Romine. I don't know. It's just great. And you got the
Gio Urshela.
Yeah, he's actually doing good.
He is doing good.
I don't know. But stat of the week, the Marlins are shifting 70% of the time this year so far. The next closest team is at 60%, and I think that's the Braves.
Yeah. So they must be playing a lot of pull hitters, or the Marlins are just trying some stuff, knowing they have
trying to actually win.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
Trying to win or trying to lose? We don't know.
That division, it's coming out to what it was supposed to be.
The top 4 teams are separated
all within a game and a half.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. Our player of the week is Damian Lillard, 35.5 points per game over 2 games this week. He had a game winner over Paul George, 7 assists per game, and he's shooting about 50% from the field. He's banging. That game winner is really what sold us for him as player of the week, solidifying He's been very professional about it too. The shit
Yes.
talking with Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook's just making himself look like a fool.
And then he just hits the game winner. And then Paul George says it was a bad shot.
And then Damian Lillard said, well, he played some bad defense.
Yeah, like he shot it right over him.
Yeah.
So it's not a bad shot.
It's obviously not a bad shot if
for
he
Curry
just
and
won the
Lillard.
series.
For Curry and Lillard, it's not a bad shot. If Westbrook shot it from there, it wouldn't even make its way to the hoop. It'd probably go over the hoop, knowing Westbrook. But Westbrook, yeah, cool. You get all these triple doubles. Have you won in the first round? Have you won over 5 playoff games? No, you haven't. And that one game they won, it was a fluke.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't even have happened.
Yeah.
So it was basically a sweep.
Yeah.
If you win 4-1 in a series, come on. Like did you really do anything?
Yeah.
You won one game and you probably won by a couple points. Let me see how many points these clowns won by.
And I mean, they had game 5 in there, Thunder had a chance to win it and they blew it down the stretch. I think it ended on a 26.
They won 120 to 108. And Westbrook had 33 points. They actually played pretty well that game, the Thunder. Other than that, nothing else.
I mean, you're bound to have one good game. I mean,
it's crazy because Portland plays like their whole bench.
Yeah.
You look at it, they get everyone in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. But, yeah, I'm happy for Portland. But that's it for the Open Table Sports podcast, everyone. We will be back next week. It's probably going to be our last podcast in the Open Table Sports studio. After that, we will be going live on YouTube on Friday afternoons, but it'll definitely be pretty interesting to see what happens after next week. But we will be doing a pretty good wrap-up next week. As we always do, we're going to try to do more daily recaps. We've just been busy and haven't really, gotten to them. But that's it for today. Make sure you follow us, Open Table Sports, on everything. Thank you for listening. Again, everyone. Enjoy.